International law generally defines anyone under the age of 18 as a child. In this video series, we've challenged conventional wisdom about these young people. We saw how the traits we tend to attribute to them are neither natural nor universal. Instead, they are largely the result of social and legal practices. We also saw how policies and laws that claim to protect youngsters can in fact harm them. In this video, we'll illustrate this last point in relation to what's called the child's right to be heard. This right is enshrined in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is the most widely ratified treaty in the world. The wording of this right in the Convention is extremely vague. It gives adult decision makers almost limitless discretion as to whether and how to consider young people's views. For example, it instructs adults to give these views due weight in accordance with the age and maturity of the child. But if adults disagree with a certain view, they can simply ignore it by claiming that the young person isn't mature or old enough. Similarly, the Convention says that children should be heard on all matters affecting them. But it's down to adults to decide what matters fall into this category. Take national elections, for example. Obviously, they affect youngsters, but the law allows only people above a certain age to vote. Various scholars, as well as young activists, have criticized this situation. They rightly note that the right to vote isn't supposed to be based on competence or knowledge. After all, people who are entitled to vote are not required to prove these traits. And even if voting were based on competence or knowledge, many youngsters are no less capable and knowledgeable than adults tend to give them credit for. Similarly, it's debatable how much political understanding adults possess. Just look at the political leaders we often elect. Giving youngsters the right to vote could improve the quality of political governance. It would encourage our elected representatives to pay greater attention to the needs, experiences, and perspectives of the young. Another area in which adults claim to listen to children, but in fact ignore or misrepresent their views, is human rights reports. My research has found that human rights organizations often prioritize adult voices. They also tend to ignore children whose views are not aligned with their own agenda or not aligned with legal and social norms regarding childhood. So, as we can see, the claim to give children a voice has left adults with the power to ignore or misrepresent young voices, especially those they disagree with. In the final video in this series, we'll focus on another example in which adult decision makers act against the wishes and needs of young people. And that's the example of working children around the world. Join me for a critical examination of common assumptions about that issue.